Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Look, if you rely on Social Security, Medicare, or any federal benefits, you really need to hear this. August is throwing us some massive curveballs. Some are surprisingly good, but others, well, they're hidden financial traps that millions of people are walking into completely blind. So let's dive into the exact dates, the numbers, and the steps you need to take right now to protect your money.
So let's kick things off with a question that honestly sounds completely backward. Could a smaller Social Security raise actually leave you with more money in your pocket? The news just broke that the 2027 cost of living adjustment, your COLA, was just downgraded. But hold on, before you get frustrated, I'm going to explain exactly why this downgrade is actually something you should probably be celebrating.
Okay, Section 1, the 2027 COLA surprise.
To understand this surprise, we really have to look at what independent analysts were projecting just a few months ago compared to right now. So earlier this year, independent analyst Mary Johnson projected a massive 4.7% COLA for 2027. And people were thrilled, right? But then, mid-July inflation data dropped, and it showed that inflation is actually cooling down. Because of that, Johnson just slashed her forecast down to 3.7%. Meanwhile, the Senior Citizens League updated their own forecast to 3.8%. So we're looking at a 2027 raise of around 3.7 to 3.8%. Now, I know it sounds like a loss, but compare that to the 2.8% raise you got in 2026, you are still up a full percentage point.
Let's break down what this means in actual dollars and cents. On the current average benefit of $2,071 a month, that old 4.7% estimate would have added about $97 a month. The new, lower estimate of 3.7 to 3.8% adds about $77 to $79 a month. Yeah, it's slightly less than that initial exciting estimate, but it is absolutely still real money. We're talking about an extra $924 to $948 more per year than you're getting right now.
But here is the crucial takeaway. A lower COLA means cooling inflation. See, the official measurement period for the COLA is happening right now, July, August, and September. If the COLA is lower, it just means prices during these months aren't rising nearly as violently as they were earlier in the year. So what you might quote-unquote lose in a slightly smaller raise, you're going to gain right back at the cash register. We're talking about genuine price relief on your grocery bills, lower energy costs, cheaper prices across the board. A smaller COLA in a cooling inflation environment is actually vastly superior to a massive COLA in an economy where you literally can't afford to buy eggs. So, plan your 2027 budgets conservatively around this 3.7 or 3.8% mark.
All right, moving right along to Section 2, the hidden tax trap.
Now here is where this good news takes a bit of a dark turn. Even with a slightly lower COLA, this upcoming raise is about to push millions of seniors straight into a surprise federal tax trap starting in January. I want you to burn this number into your memory, $25,000. This is the provisional income threshold where the federal government starts taxing your Social Security benefits if you're a single filer. And you know what makes this so incredibly frustrating? This baseline number hasn't been adjusted for inflation since 1993. I mean, it's been frozen in time since the original Jurassic Park was in theaters and we were all using dial-up internet. Crazy, right?
Now, provisional income isn't just your standard income. The IRS calculates it by taking all your non-Social Security income, so things like pensions, IRA withdrawals, investment interest, and then they add exactly 50% of your annual Social Security benefit. If you're a single filer and that combined total crosses $25,000 or $32,000 for a married couple, a portion of your benefits suddenly becomes taxable. And if it crosses the upper thresholds of $34,000 or $44,000, up to 85% of your hard-earned benefits are subject to federal tax.
Let me show you how easily you can get caught in this. Imagine a senior who's comfortably under the wire with a provisional income of $24,500, and they get a $20,000 a year Social Security benefit. Well, a 3.7% COLA raises their benefit to $20,740. When the IRS calculates 50% of that new benefit, it adds an extra $370 to their provisional income equation. That mere $370 increase pushes their total provisional income right over the $25,000 threshold. And just like that, for the very first time, they owe federal taxes on their Social Security.
You really have to get ahead of this. If your provisional income is currently sitting within $1,000 to $2,000 of these thresholds, you need to run your numbers right now before you file your first quarter estimated taxes next year. Make sure you watch the mail in December for the Social Security Administration's official COLA notice. That's going to give you your exact 2027 benefit amount to use in your math. Also, definitely talk to a tax advisor about the senior deduction. If you're 65 or older, there's a $6,000 deduction for single filers and a $12,000 deduction for married couples that actually reduces your adjusted gross income. It could literally be the exact lifeline you need to offset the COLA and drop you safely back below the tax threshold.
Okay, Section 3, Urgent Direct Express Changes.
Let's pivot to a major development happening right this very second that affects roughly 3.6 million Americans. If you, or maybe someone you know, receives federal benefits without a traditional bank account, please pay very close attention to this. The federal government is actively transferring the Direct Express Debit Card program to an entirely new bank. Comerica Bank's contract has ended, and Fifth Third Bank is taking over. This means 3.6 million people are being issued brand new cards. If you're an existing cardholder, you must take action. Watch your mail carefully throughout August for a transition letter explaining exactly when your new card from Fifth Third Bank will arrive, how to activate it, and what happens to your current balance. The government has made it explicitly clear here, if you ignore these instructions, you risk having your essential benefits severely disrupted during the changeover, and nobody wants that.
Now, in a landscape completely full of scams, you have got to protect yourself. We all know fraudulent letters mimicking the government are everywhere these days. If you get a transition letter and you feel even slightly suspicious about it, do not call random numbers printed on the envelope. Call the official Direct Express verified number directly at 1-800-333-1795. That is literally the only way to guarantee you're speaking to the actual program administrators to get your new card sorted out safely.
Finally, Section 4, Upcoming Deadlines and Dates.
Let's wrap things up by looking at the immediate horizon. Your calendar is going to be incredibly busy over the next few months, and missing these dates could honestly cost you. First, just a quick note for the 7.5 million Americans on supplemental security income. You are actually not getting a new payment in August. Because August 1st fell on a weekend, your deposit arrived early on July 31st, so that money has to stretch through the entire month until your next deposit on September 1st. Looking ahead, mid-September is when the Bureau of Labor Statistics will drop the crucial August inflation data, which locks in our final COLA trajectory. And finally, Medicare open enrollment kicks off on October 15th. Guys, do not wait until October to get help. Contact your state's free, unbiased SHIP program right now in August. September appointments fill up instantly, and by October, you probably won't be able to get a counselor on the phone to help you review your plans.
So I want to leave you with one critical question to think about today. Are you within $1,000 of that tax threshold? Now is the time to check your numbers. Don't let a well-deserved raise become a financial penalty just because you weren't looking. You can find all the exact forms, precise thresholds, and official phone numbers compiled in the American Retirees Money Playbook linked in our sources. Look, knowledge is power, but only if you act on it. Take control of your numbers today, watch your mail for those Direct Express updates, and seriously, get your Medicare appointments booked right now. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.